In this video, I'm going to unpack how you can sell without saying a word. We're talking testimonials today. So I've always been a big stickler about collecting testimonials. It's so very important to me as a copywriter. But the truth is, I've learned even more about them lately as I've put my money where my mouth is and actually brought on a team to help us with some case studies for my business. This, plus revamping the copywriting portfolio page of my website, meant a lot of learnings. Click that like button below if you have ever been convinced to buy anything based on a word of mouth referral or a strong testimonial, and let's dig in. Hey there, welcome back to another episode. My name is Ashlyn Carter. I am a conversion copywriter and brand and launch strategist for creatives, and my voice is definitely waning today, so thanks for sticking with me. Tip number one, leverage technology. You may already know, but I'm obsessed in my business with HoneyBook. That's the client relationship management tool that we use in my business to facilitate the entire client process. Sarah on my team manages a lot of this, and both of us are obsessed with HoneyBook hacks. You can find more of those tutorials down below in the entire playlist dedicated to that. But what I want to talk to you about specifically is how you can bake testimonials into your client workflow, whatever CRM tool you are using. What I'd recommend is looking at your client process and deciding when you want in that process emails to go out either triggered or come to you so you can have a chance to look at them and make sure it's okay before it goes out. Emails maybe 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months after working together, or 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. Whatever it is, you decide, but going ahead and teeing that up in advance can be really helpful. What I've learned is if getting a testimonial is not part of a client workflow, I have a tendency to either forget or just keep it in mind as a good idea, but I don't do it because there was no checkbox to check off that I'd actually done it. Know what I mean? For example, look at this email that I got from a vendor that we'd worked with in my business. Now, obviously, they probably send that to everybody about it this phase. Like, I'm guessing that that is templated language, but it helped. I was excited to get it. It was the first time I was seeing it. I talk about templates all the time, but this one definitely worked on me. While you're at it leveraging technology, be on the lookout for other great tools you can use. One I came across recently and have started to use is a tool called boast.io. Essentially, you can send a link along to your clients or your customers and ask them to record a quick video and get that back to you. I first came across this tool when a coach I had worked with sent a link to this over to me and asked me to record a testimonial for her business. Which brings me to this. Some of you have heard me say this before, but I can't tell you how important it is to be willing to spend the investment that it costs to work with you on your own business. So if you cost $5,000, my voice, I just hear it. If you cost $5,000 to work with, are you willing to then spend that amount of money from time to time in your business and see what would it be like to spend that amount of money and to go through that type service? I'm telling you, I get some of my best ideas for my own client experience when I get to be the client and sit back and see what that experience feels like in somebody else's business. This goes to my second point, number two, let them freak what they feel. So I just mentioned video, and I want you to click the like button if you also talk a little more fluidly or even faster than you type. Can't be just me, right? So when you're reaching out to people and asking them to get back to you, sometimes it helps to let them do so in the manner that's easiest for them. Like I hinted at the beginning of this video, so many of these tips I'm sharing now I've actually learned very recently. So behind the scenes in my business, over the past year, we hired and worked with a writing team that just specializes in case studies and testimonials. This is why I talk about niching all the time. So amazing that there's an entire business and this is what they do. Great example. We used Case Study Buddy, and what I saw from the vantage point of watching them walk my clients through the process is that they gave them the opportunity to submit feedback in the way that was best for the client. So if my client would rather look at the questions and then turn on a Loom video and talk through the answers, then they let them do that, and I thought that was brilliant. In fact, I turned around and I did this 2 times recently for vendors that I have hired in my business, and both of them loved it. You get to hear the tone and inflections. I was probably a little more easygoing and just more natural than I would have been typing, even though I pretty much say what I mean when I type too. Essentially, I just want to give you one more tool for your arsenal in collecting testimonials with this tip. In the same way, when you're trying to collect data and research before you build an offer, and it's always easier to just hop on a video call with people or hop on the phone and actually talk and understand what people want instead of reading between the lines on forums or scouring different Facebook groups. Sometimes you get the best feedback talking to people or looking them in the eye or just actually hearing their natural voice. If you're only ever asking people to fill out a testimonial form, then maybe consider adding this as a secondary option or trying both and seeing which one people respond more to. Either way, whichever option you're choosing, make sure that you're giving them the room and the white space to give you more stream of consciousness feedback. Which brings me to this: ask the right questions. So definitely don't ask binary yes or no questions. Asking open-ended questions is going to get you more fuller, richer feedback. And always at least try to arrange your questions to where you're getting these type of answers. The first one, you want to figure out what life looked like before they hired you or before they worked with you. Next, you want to ask what led them to your product and why they decided to pull out their credit card and give over that precious information. And you want to find that after picture. That's not comprehensive, but that is the bare minimum of the type of questions that you need to be asking when you're trying to get a good testimonial. I get asked a lot, what is one mistake that I see on creatives' websites? And here's a big one. I see a testimonial that says something to the tune of, she does such beautiful work, or she is just so easy to work with. Okay, that's great, but that's very vanilla. Your testimonials have the power to overcome huge objections, so let them. And on that point, here's my next tip. If you're finding the same objections come up over and over again, then serve those right back with a testimonial that addresses the objection. So for example, if a bride's thinking that she has to handwrite the address of all of her guests on every single envelope or have a wine night with her girls to do that, she's only asked you to design the suite, even though you would definitely like that add-on upsell of being asked to hand address all of the envelopes as well. Could you then have a testimonial locked and loaded on your services page that said something like this? Oh my gosh, I had no idea how busy I would be planning a wedding. Having Leah's artistry on every single envelope that went out not only made every guest feel so special, much more than my cursive would have, but it also shaved off about 14 hours of time I know it would have taken me. If you hear objections over and over again, see if you can get a testimonial that says the reverse of that and put those on your services or your sales page. Next, be non-stop in gathering these. There's a YouTuber named Sunny Lenarduzzi, and I love how she talked about this in one of her recent videos. She was going through everything that's on her plate to do in a given day, and what I loved is how gathering testimonials is on her to-do list. It's not on somebody on her team's list. It's not something that she outsources. It's something that she manages. Seeing that spoke big time to me. How can I be nonstop as the owner of the business, being on the lookout for any transformational or case study story that we may have? So here's one idea, something that I have changed and learned to get better at. When somebody reaches out and gives a compliment about how something that I created has helped them so much, instead of just saying a very gracious thank you, maybe then I can turn around and say, thank you so much, would you mind either recording a little video about that, or would you mind if I used that in a testimonial? If you have places to leave reviews on your website, could you direct them to go do that? I'm telling you, I'm so bad at this myself, but I'm learning to get better. Pro tip 2, sometimes during the client process, if a client responds and says that they are so excited about some work that you've just submitted to them, or they're absolutely loving it, that can be a really good time to chime in and see if they would refer your name out. You can say, thank you so much. I would actually love to work with more people just like you. Can you think of anyone that you may know in your network that may need just this thing too? I'm telling you, when people say, your XYZ changed my life, is there anything I can do for you? Take them up on it. And I am preaching to myself here. I am the queen of putting things like this on a to-do list to get to at some point. But what I have learned and started to train myself on is thinking like that entrepreneur I mentioned to you earlier. If this is something I can always be on the lookout for in my business, it is truly crucial to my role as the CEO. Whether you've got no team, a tiny team, or a huge team, I do think it is our job as the owners to be on the lookout of any transformational opportunity that's happened because of the work you've been up to. And finally, organize your learnings well. So due to the nature of what I do as a copywriter, I see so much testimonial data, and I see a lot organized really well, some not so well, but here are some ways that I've learned and kind of taken and run with in my own business. The first is a foldering system. You can kind of see what we have set up in my business. This works great for screenshots. So whether somebody DMs you something or posts in a Facebook group that you happen to be in, it's so easy to do a screen grab and drop it in a folder. I've also learned to love spreadsheets. That's the number 2 option. These tend to work best for more long long-form testimonials. Now, my Copywriting for Creative students will tell you that I spend a whole lesson talking about how to actually arrange these sentences that you're getting back in the way that will pack the most punch when you're turning around and using them as copy on your website. Out of respect to them, I don't want to get too much into that in this video, but here is the bottom line. Testimonials, as far as where to put them, there's not a lot of rules around that. Use them like confetti. Don't just stick them on one page of your website, but make sure that you're weaving them across your entire website. One place your testimonials should absolutely be on is your About page. And if you want some ideas to ramp up your About page, then be sure to watch this video I've got teed up for you next. If you found this video helpful, despite my voice, which is almost gone at this point, hit that like button below and the subscribe button and the bell next to it too, so you can be in the loop to know when these videos drop every single week.